But I'm not joking when I say this. If you're ever working with me and I hear you treat another colleague with disrespect, talk down to someone, I promise you I will fire you on the spot.
Do you hear that, Kamala? If anyone disrespects a colleague, Joe Biden will fire them. So where does that make you land now that you are running a toxic ship in your office? Your disgruntled staffers are furious. They are frustrated and they want revenge. They are leaking to the media your every dirty move. What are you going to do now? Definitely, cackling at this issue is not an option. Hi, and welcome to TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I am your host Shubhangi, and in this video, I will tell you about some of the new and stunning revelations about what it is like to work with Kamala Harris. Let's begin. On his first day as President of the United States of America, Joe Biden had said, "I'm not joking when I say this. If you're ever working with me and I hear you treat another colleague with disrespect or talk down to someone, I promise you, I will fire you on the spot. On the spot. No ifs, ands, or buts." Biden promised to fire those who create a toxic work environment. If the president's words carry any weight today, and if he was half as serious about doing what he said he would do, Vice President Kamala Harris should have been fired by now. President Joe Biden should have been leading an effort to get Kamala Harris impeached from office. You see, damning revelations have been made by over 22 staffers of Kamala Harris, both working with her currently as well as formerly associated with her office. The staffers are unanimous in their description of what it is like to work for the vice president. One of the staffers told Politico, a liberal media in itself, "It all starts at the top. People are thrown under the bus from the very top. There are short fuses and it's an abusive environment. It's not a healthy environment and people often feel mistreated. It's not a place where people feel supported, but a place where people feel treated like dash." You can fill in the blank. The explosive allegations of staff being mistreated, abused, and disregarded by Kamala Harris and her chief of staff have led to an image crisis like no other for the Biden administration in its 5 months in office. The environment has become so unsuitable that after just 5 months on the job, many staffers have sought employment elsewhere. Recently, two top staffers, Carly Sadkowiak and Gabrielle DeFranceschi, left Harris's office. Those trying to protect Harris and her chief of staff, Tina Flournoy, said the departures were expected and had nothing to do with the work culture of the vice president's office. But those familiar with the realities told Politico that DeFranceschi, the deputy director of Advance, left because of a difference of opinion in how things should run. The source said, "If you have an opinion about how things should run and it's not listened to, that can be frustrating." Unexpected lines, Harris's supporters from within the White House and elsewhere have said that the toxic work environment is only perceptual in nature due to the fact that those being accused of mistreating, abusing, and denigrating staffers are people of color and black women. Politico, however, reported that for some of the people who know Harris best, it's become an all too familiar pattern. Apart from the daily chaos of working with abusive bosses, Harris's staffers say they are being kept out of the loop on critical decisions being made by the vice president and her chief of staff. Most recently, Kamala Harris's announcement that she would visit the southern border at El Paso has riled up her staff, who are of the opinion that the visit should not have been announced right now. The Politico report said Harris's team is experiencing low morale, porous lines of communication, and diminished trust among aides and senior officials. Those interviewed by the publication said that at the behest of the vice president's chief of staff, Harris is surrounded by an insular environment where ideas are ignored or met with harsh dismissals and decisions are dragged out. Tina Flournoy, they said, refuses to take responsibility for delicate issues and blames staffers for the negative results that ensue. There is no doubt that Kamala Harris is to blame for allowing such an environment to flourish. In what should also concern the Democratic Party as a whole, Kamala Harris is ignoring major donors who have contributed millions in donations to the Blue Party. Recently, a friend of the vice president personally reached out to Flournoy on behalf of one of the party's top donors to try to arrange a brief meeting. They were ignored. The donor also contacted Harris's office personally and didn't hear back for weeks. They were eventually told that the VP was too busy to schedule some time. Kamala Harris and her top aide's behavior is concerning President Joe Biden and his team, the report said. Meanwhile, the sudden departure of Harris's advance in charges had led to her office floundering for volunteers or even associates who could fly down to El Paso and make preparations for the vice president's visit. Maybe if she had treated her former employees with respect, she would not be forced to desperately search for people who would help her travel to the South. Kamala Harris is taking up difficult tasks. In fact, she is being handed over jobs which are impossible to fulfill given her standards. Evidently, her failure to get the job done and her indecisiveness, whether it be with the voting rights bills or the sudden border crisis, it's all taking a toll on her ability to lead the vice president's office maturely and in an environment where her workers are not disrespected. Instead, what we are left with is an incompetent vice president's office with disgruntled employees.